So, what makes a great video game console? Well, it's simple. It's obviously the games. There we go. But nah, man, let's get real for a second. Video game consoles have been around for over 50 years. 50 years in the grand scheme of history is not a very long time, but when it comes to gaming, it is. I believe the reason is due to how drastic the leaps are to move the medium forward. I mean, look at the leap between the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube. It's crazy. The gap was only 5 years, man. But the reason I bring all of that up is to say that consoles are defined by their era and what they brought to the table during that time. And with that, we can segue into the first and second major factors that define a great console: features and hardware. A console's features are an essential part of its identity. Features are driven by a company's yearn for innovation and breaking new ground. The most revolutionary consoles of all time always had elements that sparked evolution. The PlayStation 2 being the first console with a built-in DVD player, the Switch's seamless ability to swap between being a handheld and a console, the Sega Dreamcast's revolutionary internet functionality, the Wii's motion controls. These are a few examples of companies taking risks with console functionality, and in turn pushing the medium forward. I mean, just take a look at the Switch. Thanks to Nintendo's success in realizing the hybrid model, other companies have followed suit, seeing the lucrative market the Switch has been thriving in, wanting their own piece of the pie. That is a recent example of a console's revolutionary feature and how it affects the landscape of gaming. And who can forget about backwards compatibility? It's not a requirement, but it's always a positive to be able to play the games of a previous console on your new system. Okay, so hardware is an interesting one, and it happens to be arguably the most controversial element of a console, along with the design, of course. Now, if you were to ask me, a console doesn't need to be the most powerful of its generation to be considered great. It doesn't need all of the top of the line components. Shit, if it does, it's a bonus, but if it's an improvement off of its previous iteration, or if it manages to make games look nice and run smooth while having other redeemable factors, I don't think it's a big deal. But like I said, that's how I feel. It's a subjective and nuanced conversation. Regardless, hardware does indeed matter, whether we want to believe it or not. From a marketing standpoint to a player experience standpoint, systems like the PS2, Xbox, and Xbox 360 came out of the gate in their respective generations with top-of-the-line hardware and performance for home consoles. Now let's get to my favorite part: design. The importance of a console's design cannot be understated. For some people, it can make or break a console. The design of a system is important. Your product can have all the functionality in the world, but if it's ugly, you could end up scaring away potential customers. A console design allows people to view the developer's artistic intention that houses its functionality. See how these elements are all linked? I mean, if your brand new system you spent your hard-earned money on is going to be sitting your TV stand on display, you will want it to look nice, right? A great iconic design has a timeless recognizable silhouette that houses its functionality seamlessly. From button placement to shape to dish tray or cartridge slot placement, color or colors, all of it needs to make sense. Great design in everything is intentional. All of this applies to a system's controller as well. The most beloved consoles of all time have some of the most controversial controllers, but when a console does a controller right, not only is the gamer's experience enhanced, but the design is used as a template for generations to come. Next up, we got UI, or user interface, and when I'm talking about UI, I'm also including startup screens for the sake of this video, as I feel those are gateways into a system's UI. You know, things like this. And this. And this. I know at least one of those boot up screens invokes some sort of emotion, which means it did what it was supposed to. A boot screen is the introduction of the A boot screen is the introduction of a console's
Fuck this shit!
A boot screen is the introduction of the console's aesthetic identity, aside from its outward appearance, of course. That feeling of buying a brand new console and experiencing that boot up screen is a crucial part of the experience. Everything from the visuals to the sounds is designed to give you a feeling of satisfaction from booting up the system, reminding you that you're entering or re-entering its world. A bridge per se to the main menu of the system, what I would like to call is core UI. Like a lot of things in entertainment, UI can be subjective, but a lot of the well-received UIs have a couple of things in common. What are those, you're probably asking? A proper balance of great visual design, audio design, and utility. A lot of the great system user interfaces have their menus laid out in a way that's organized and easy for the gamer to navigate, as it's important to access things like system data, settings, online stores, friend lists, and games with ease, all while looking nice when effectively conveying the system's aesthetic via design, sound effects, and ambience. Themes are a plus as well. They add a sense of customization and can further enhance one's experience within the console, from simply changing the color to your home screen having a wallpaper of your favorite game. But everything I brought up doesn't mean shit if your system doesn't have any games. I mean, if it doesn't, it's just a glorified, expensive ass brick sitting in your room. A diverse, expansive gaming library is an essential quality of a superb console. A proper balance of first-party and third-party games. A library that has something for everybody. The most successful systems of all time, like the PS1, PS2, DS, and 360, had some of the most loaded video game libraries ever. Classics upon classics that are praised by many. And those consoles not only have the games, but also have most, if not all of the other factors I've talked about. But I'd say the final component that holds everything together is marketing. Think of some of the most successful and well-received consoles of all time. One thing they all had in common was great marketing. Companies make sure that their product is marketed properly to make a return in investment and profit. But knowing your audience, having a clear message, being creative, and having an aggressive marketing strategy can make a console stand out from the rest in a competitive market, where companies essentially beg for the consumer's money and attention. So to reel it in, a successful video game console has numerous factors that help it thrive. Design, functionality, hardware, UI, a solid library of games, and marketing. I believe all of those factors, if properly taken into account by a company, are the makings of a truly iconic system. But hey, that's what I think. Let me know in the comments what you think makes a great console. Let's talk about it. That's it for this video, guys. Stay safe and stay blessed out there. Peace.